I'm joined today by Dick Morris, who is the co-author of Power Grab, Obama's Dangerous Plan for a One-Party Nation, along with co-author and wife Eileen McGann. Dick, it's really great to have you on. You know, since I was a kid, essentially, in the early 90s, I've been following you and your political involvement. And as a kid, you can imagine, I was confused when I saw you go from the supporter and strategist of Bill Clinton to a guy who has become very, very critical of Democrats and critical of President Obama. So I'd love just to kind of set the context for our interview, to go back.
Sure.
Growing up, were you a liberal or a conservative guy?
Yeah, I was a strong liberal growing up, and was very involved in the peace movement and anti-nuclear war and all of that. And then Reagan became president and did everything I didn't agree with. He did Star Wars, defense spending, the build-up, arms negotiations, and Russia fell apart, and he achieved exactly what I wanted, which was to avert the threat of nuclear war. And I began to reconsider my liberalism and say, maybe you can achieve the objectives you wanted to achieve and still want to achieve better through conservative means than through liberal means. The straight path isn't always the right one. And I work, and for example, welfare reform. We made people work and have time limits on welfare, and we cut child poverty by a third, something the Great Society was never able to do. And what happened professionally is that starting in '77, I worked for only Democrats, and my first client was Bill Clinton when I helped him get elected governor of Arkansas.
Right.
Then starting in 1980, I began to work for Republicans too, and got a bunch of them elected. And then in 1990, I became a full-time Republican, and except for Bill, who I grandfathered in. And when Clinton lost Congress in '94, he called me to come work for him, in part because I was a Republican and because I knew what they ate for breakfast, and he felt that with me he could work with them and get a lot of stuff done. And that's, in fact, how we passed the balanced budget and welfare reform and a whole lot of other really good bills.
And did you take heat from Republicans for working so closely
Yeah.
with Bill Clinton, or did they see it as, oh
Yeah.
no, we've got a guy on the inside?
No. I was excommunicated, and I couldn't work as a consultant for the Republican Party again. But I knew that when I accepted the gig with Clinton. But look, when the president calls you and you've had a 30-year relationship with him, 20-year relationship, and you can play the key role in his presidency, you do it. And I did, and I'm very proud of what we did there. But then after I left him, I was free to speak in my own name, not in somebody else's, and I articulated the opinions that I'd come to anyway during that period. And I'll say this to you. Bill Clinton right now would be a great president. He would not be like Obama. He wouldn't be like Hillary. And I think he'd be terrific.
Do you
If
agree,
we
though,
had a
that he
president
would probably be more progressive than either of those two?
No.
You don't think
Much
so?
less. No. Clinton balanced the budget. Clinton made welfare recipients work in order to get welfare. Clinton increased the defense spending. Clinton didn't move to take over education. He deliberately did not ratify the Kyoto Accord on climate change. Clinton signed the Defense of Marriage Act. He's at heart a moderate and only a liberal when he has to be politically, like he does now, because his wife wants to be president as a Democrat. Hillary, on the other hand, is a liberal and a radical when she can be, and a moderate only when she has to be.
Do you still have any relationship at all with the Clintons, or did that end when you resigned?
No, it ended a few years after I resigned. I was involved with him for a couple of years after that. But Hillary sent me a nice card announcing the birth of her granddaughter, but there was white powder on the outside, so I didn't open it. So I'd like to talk about my new book, which is called Power Grab, Obama's Dangerous Plan for a One-Party Nation. And the concept is that we all say that Obama's goal is socialized medicine or to create a social democracy like they have in Europe, income redistribution, fighting climate change. Those are all, in my view, means to an end. The end is a permanent democratic liberal majority in the United States that always wins elections, and the Republicans never win another election. And everything he's doing, I think, is you start with immigration. He wants to create Democratic Party demographics in the United States, and he can't get to Congress, so he'll do it any way he possibly can.
So let's stop there, because I have a question on that. Let me, just so we can take it piece by piece. Much of the demographic shifts that we're seeing towards what I agree with you would be a more traditionally democratic voting demographic makeup of the country precedes President Obama significantly. I mean, when we talk about the children from Central American countries that are allowed to legally stay, that was a law that George W. Bush signed in. How is this so much about Obama?
Well, the Bush signature, you're confusing it. When Bush signed it, it was about human trafficking victims. It was not about refugees. The law does not apply to refugees, to folks, not refugees, the types that are coming in now, illegal immigrants, are not covered by the Bush law. The Bush law only relates to the victims of human trafficking, and that's what that law was about. But what Obama is doing is he just announced 2 days ago that he is going to give those kids refugee status. Now, there's no war going on in Central America. There's no disease. They're democracies. There's no repressive government. There's no religious persecution. They're fleeing crime and poverty. And the UN and Obama have agreed that they will treat these folks as refugees, which means they can apply in their own country and come here legally and become citizens. That is his objective, to get them to vote Democrat. Another good example is on Friday he announced that illegal immigrants would be recruited into the military. Right now, only green card holders and citizens can join the military. 5,000 legal immigrants join the military a year.
Right, but Dick, I have to take issue, though. Something you said was not accurate, which is that it's unheard of to grant refugee status when the origin country is not one that is officially at war. The U.S. has a long history of doing this with countries from every single continent where there is no official war based on the individual circumstances. So it's just flat out inaccurate what you said.
No, that is not true. There are instances, frequent instances, where an individual gets refugee status or political asylum based on his individual situation. Right. But to grant amnesty to immigrants from a country has only occurred in wartime or disease. For example, Iraq, 100,000 people; Syria, 100,000; the Vietnamese boat people.
Okay, right, but I understand the point you're getting at, but the thing is, you're assuming that all of these individuals are just being allowed to stay without any investigation whatsoever being done. My friends in the Border Patrol tell me very clearly that it's not just an open door. Every case is looked at individually.
Yeah, but that's the ones who are coming in via the border. That's not going to happen in the future. They're going to be processed by the UN as refugees in their home in Central America.
But you're saying that's the future. That's not even happening yet, right? You just said in the future.
Obama just ordered it. But listen, we don't have a lot of time to explain what my book is about. It's the concept in it is that he is trying to have a permanent majority. People say that he screwed up the economy.
When we look at a 250% return in stocks, when we look at unemployment and continuing to decrease, consumer confidence continuing to increase, it's a little bit haphazard. Excuse me, though, Dick. It's a little bit haphazard to say that the economy has gotten worse. It's gotten drastically better.
No, it hasn't. The stock market is its own creature, fueled by federal currency printing. When you talk about what were you saying about the economy after the stock market, you said something else.
Yeah,
unemployment rate.
unemployment is down
When
to the
Obama
point
took
that
office-
Romney promised he would
wait a
get
minute.
it down to.
When Obama took office, there were 145 million Americans who were employed. Now there are 125 million who are employed.
Quickly, Dick, the HillaryDaily.com. What is it? Is it a Hillary Clinton smear site?
It's a website my wife is doing, which has all the information you'd ever want to know about Hillary Clinton. Negative, largely, although some neutral, some positive.
I'm not surprised.
It's anybody who wants to understand this person needs to go to that website. And let me say that I know Hillary better than almost anybody who's commenting on her in the public sphere, including her spokesmen and supporters, because they haven't worked with her for more than 20 years in the kind of close way that I have. And
but I thought you said it. I thought you said it had also been about 20 years since you worked with her.
I'm sorry, what?
I thought you said it had also been about 20 years since you worked with her.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, so you haven't worked with her for as long as all of those other people.
Okay, well, thanks very much. Nice interview. Goodbye.
All right. Apparently, Dick Morris not liking the simple pointing out that he is criticizing those who comment on Hillary for not having worked with her for 20 years. And he also hasn't worked with her for 20 years. I didn't think that that was that angering of a statement to make, but apparently it was to Dick Morris.